Welcome back, baby Tenno. Today we are doing another Warframe video and we are talking about priming. And no, I don't mean putting that shiny gold trim on your frames or your weapons. Alright, considering the amount of fashion that I do, you might think that. But no, we're talking about status priming today. So, the thing that everyone on Reddit is swearing is mandatory and that you need to try it. And then once you do, you realize, oh wait, this is overkill! For 90% of content, you don't need to prime. Sit down, grab a snack, maybe pet your cougar a little bit, because I'm about to break down everything you need to know about priming with statuses in Warframe. Why you don't need to, when you actually should if you're going to, and which weapons to use to prime, that way you don't look like an asshole who's just trying to show off your Riven collection. Let's get into it. Here's the truth. You don't need a specific Warframe to prime. Literally doesn't matter. You could use Excalibur, you could use Bolt, you could just be vibing in an Aros. Which, by the way, I mean, that's fine. I'm just wondering why. Anyways, priming isn't necessary for 90% of the game. You can cruise through most of the star chart, the sorties, the fissures, all that stuff, and even a good chunk of liches and steel path without priming, although it does make those last two a little bit easier. If you ever see someone in your lith capture bragging about their 20 status build, buddy, calm down, chill. It's a capture with level 3 enemies, it's fine. Alright? Relax. Bring in a nuke to a pillow fight. What's wrong with you? The earliest you might actually need to worry about priming is in those lich fights. And then, obviously, it does make Steel Path a bit easier, although it's still not 100% necessary depending on the build you go with. Now, if you're here trying to figure out how to get some quick, easy power for your star chart clearing or any of the assassinations on the base star chart or do Viri or any random stuff like that, priming is not it. Stop looking for quick, easy power. You know what's going to give you power? Are you ready? Drumroll, please. Yeah, that's right. Upgrading your base mods. Your level 2 Serration isn't cutting it, alright? All the bread and butter boring stuff is what's going to actually give you your power. Yes, priming helps, but it is not necessary for 90% of early game, and it's not going to do anything unless you have your mods upgraded anyway. So, go upgrade your mods, then come back and watch this video. Seriously, I've had some people be like, I can't kill level 30 enemies without a prime. Alright? What's wrong with me? And don't worry, I was that person too once, alright? I get it. But I'm just sitting here like, my brother in Christ, you're using a level 2 Serration. You have a cracked redirection. What are you doing? Please upgrade your mods. It's like putting a turbo on a bicycle. You don't need to use primers when you don't have your mods upgraded. Anyways, now that you're past the early game, and you've upgraded your base mods, and you're on to farming liches and doing some steel path, enemies are starting to look at you pretty funny. You're like, alright, time to actually build one of these fabled primers that people keep talking about is the best thing ever. Alright? So, stepping into the arena, ladies and gentlemen, we have the undisputed king, the best #1 primer in the entire game. Cedo Prime! That's fucking right, everyone. It's the Cedo, the best primer in the game. Alright? It's like handing out free subscriptions. You get Slash, you get Viral, you get Heat. Everyone gets 30 days of free status effects on them, and you can buy one and get one free. Alright? That's the Cedo's motto. Sales for everyone, okay? One shot, half the room is melting. And then you just blast your pellets, and they all insta-die. Alright? Cedo is the cheat code to priming. Not only because it has a heat-seeking, bouncing, exploding glaive that applies infinite statuses to everyone. Yes, you heard that correct. All of that is the case. As its alternate fire, But it also has an extra feature, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about why status priming is so good in the first place and why people want to do it. It's not just the procs themselves, although yes, they help. It's how they interact with mods. See, you've got mods like the Galvanized series and Conditional Overload. Let's take a peek at what those look like. The Galvanized series, you can get this on primaries and secondaries, but it basically adds 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target for 20 seconds. And that stacks twice, so it's 80%. So now, all of the sudden, every single status you have on that enemy is additive to your damage, and just rounding it up higher and higher and higher. And there's also one for secondaries. I don't have mine max, so it's only 32%. And then Conditional Overload for melee, amazing. 80% melee damage per status affecting the target. There is a status buffing mod for every single type of weapon. Alright? So that is why priming is so important, is because of mods like these. When Conditional Overload makes your melee weapon scale to the moon, all of a sudden your little stick is going to be out-hitting your primary weapons if you don't have the Galvanized mods yet. And that's okay. That's fine. Sticks can be good too. Now, the other reason why Cedo is cracked out of its mind and why this is the best primer in the game, aside from the bouncing, exploding, heat-seeking glaive that applies every single fucking status in the game, is because of its unique trait. While the alternate fire does launch a glaive with guaranteed status chance, the main thing is that the primary fire deals an additional 60% for each status effect on the target. Status effect. Galvanized is status type. So for instance, heat, radiation, viral, all that stuff, right? That's going to be status type. So that would be 5 types, meaning you get 80% times 5, put that to 400% extra damage just from this mod alone if you prime it first. This unique trait adds it 60% additional damage per status effect. So if you have 5 stacks of every single one of those, you have 25 statuses on there. So you're getting 25 times 60. I'm not even going to do that math right now. Plus the 400 from Savvy. And this is just the most broken weapon in the game. Okay? It is undisputed. It is 1, the best primer, and 2, insane damage. Okay? I am biased, but that is how it is. Aside from that, if you really, really can't let go of your primary, if you are absolutely attached to your Brahma, or your Base Assist, or your Exceltra Prime, or whatever else you're attached to, Torrid, Incarnon, I know you guys are out there. Alright? If you're really attached to that and you can't get rid of your primary, don't worry. This is where secondaries shine, because here's the thing. Secondaries also got some pretty spicy options for priming, okay? We've got, first up, you're thinking I'm gonna click on the new core, but I'm fucking not. No, stop. Cycron. Cycron is the best primer for secondaries, okay? If you're looking at semi-single target, not big AoE, alright? New core, don't use the new core. Put it down. Walk away. The Cycron is literally the new core, except better, okay? It has infinite ammo. That's the one thing with these type of weapons, is you're going to build it to have fire rate. It's using 40 ammo a second, okay? When you only have 360 ammo on the new core, it's gonna be gone before you finish a quarter of the mission. The Cycron is literally the exact same thing, except just better, and it looks cooler, okay? It looks cooler, alright? That's how it is. The juice here, okay? Secondary Encumber. Now this is gonna really shoot the Cycron, or really any secondary status weapon, to the moon, because every single time you apply a status effect, it has a 24% chance to trigger a second random status effect. You're basically playing with a dot slot machine. You're applying cold, and then boom, there you go. You got viral. Boom, there's some blast for you. Why not? This thing is insane. And honestly, this arcane is why most people automatically gravitate towards secondaries in the first place, ignoring the Cedo entirely without even considering it. So if you are attached to your primary and you want a secondary, secondary encumber is going to make whatever secondary you use much better at priming. The Cycron is the best secondary primer, followed up by the Epitaph. Now the Epitaph, if you don't charge it, it does a big blast AoE. You don't need a lot to make it good. Quick shout out that I'm going to do, just because it's one of my personal favorites. It's quite niche, but the Dual Coda Torsica. So this one is pretty good because if you kill something, then it will cause cold status effect spores to burst out of headshots that you make following up that kill. It will also increase vulnerability of damage from the Torsica as well. So if you like doing cold and getting a little bit of CC while not sacrificing too much of your damage, you can use the Dual Torsica. I actually have mine built, so it has over 100% status chance, and it still has pretty dang good damage. And it does pretty good damage if you prime it first, and this will absolutely see things with its cloud of cold. There's one final twist on priming, okay? You're wondering, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? It's actually gonna be your pets. So, pets are insanely useful for priming. We'll start with the Durja, just because it is the best sentinel to prime with, and you can get it pretty early. The reason that this is the best one to prime with is because of this mod right here, the Arc Coil. It will zap up to 7 enemies. Now that means you're hitting 7 enemies. The reason this is good is because of Contagion Bond. When your companion kills an enemy affected with a status effect, there's a 50% chance that the status effect spreads to other enemies in 9 meters. So not only will it spread status effects for you, but if you have the Manifold Bond, companion preset mods apply status effects from the companion weapons. Killing enemies with 3 or more unique statuses reduces the companion ability cooldowns. The preset mods are things like Arc Coil, anything that's specific to that pet, right? So this will get cooldown reduction anytime anything with 3 or more statuses on it dies, and it will apply all of the statuses that the weapon the Durja is using has, meaning slash, impact, puncture, or whatever other elements you put on. Now, if you're looking for the best pet to prime with, this will be the Robo Dogs, alright? These Robo Dogs are freaking crazy. The Hounds. They're insane. The preset mods spray statuses absolutely everywhere, all over crowds of enemies, consistently. They're like a furry Roomba of destruction, okay? And the best part is, they're not actually too hard to get. You can get them super easy from just grinding out some Sisters of Parvos, and then you'll just get them, alright? And you'll have a 4-legged primer assistant. Sometimes I'll even just let my hound handle it. I'll just go looting or parkour around the stage like an idiot, and the dog's working overtime applying statuses on everything, and I'm like, wow, teamwork, let's go, we did so much. Meanwhile, he's doing all the work. And the way that he's doing that is because not only does he strip Eximus abilities, meaning even that arson big fire explosion, he gets that. And then that's a precept mod that applies statuses of his weapons. And then Reflex Denial, a 12-meter radius explosion of thorns. That's insane. And then we've got a bouncing, ricocheting, AoE exploding ball that it shoots out. So you've got electric, magnetic, whatever Eximus ability it chooses, and then whatever weapons and mods and statuses you put on the extra weapon for the dog. All being applied anytime you do any of those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how well the dog works on his own, how well the Cedo works. We'll use the Cycron, we'll use the Epitaph, and then we'll use the Dual Torsica as a bonus. Heavy Gunner. Alright, dog, let's see what you can do. There you go. I'm not doing anything. I am not pressing any buttons. Look at all these statuses on these enemies. That's just the dog. It's just him. This is all the dog. If you want to add in some juice, here's the Cedo. Alt fire. Oh, and that's bouncing every... Wow, look at all those statuses. Oh my gosh. Look at all those statuses. That's crazy. Now, you want to try the dual Torxica? Sure, go for it. You've got a good chunk of slash procs on that one. And this guy is absolutely cooked. Now, when he's dead, then we can get that cold proc. Look at that. Now everything's vulnerable to the Coda. And everything is being cold procced. All you gotta do is kill one thing, and then it just ramps up from there. Cycron up first. Alright, this guy is raw. Cycron. One magazine. There you go. You have 40 statuses, and so many unique ones. Look at that. And it does pretty damn good damage if you hit headshots. And it chains to everyone else. Very, very good. Amazing primer, especially if you insist on using a secondary one. Now, there is also one more option for primers on the secondary slot, and that is a classic, the Epitaph. These guys are all raw. Now watch this, one shot. Boom. Not absolutely amazing, but like I said, a beginner primer, and it hit almost everyone. That AoE is pretty dang good. And if you look at these people, they all have statuses like crazy. So if you need an early game primer or an easy to get primer, it is also still very good endgame if you stack it up, put a potato in it, give it some good mods, some forma. It is very viable as an endgame weapon too. Now I want to show you one last thing, and that is going to be the difference between priming and not priming. And the reason why it is so OP. Level 200 heavy gunners. And let's just hit a headshot without priming. Are you ready? Not particularly impressive, right? Not terrible. If you want to see some priming, let's do this. Priming. And fire it again. Bam, priming. Oh, 80,000 per shot. Wow. 100,000 per pellet. Wow. These heavy gunners, level 200, non-armor stripped, are melting. 100,000, 100,000, 14,000, 15,000. Prime, 100,000. Key takeaways for this are, priming is great, don't sweat it early game. It's not the golden ticket to power, just focus on maxing your mods, getting better weapons, and having fun, of course. Once you're farming liches and tackling steel path, that's when you can start worrying about priming. Cedo is king, secondaries are spicy, especially with secondary encumber. Don't forget about your robo dogs. If you're running a status build in general, use the Galvanized series or Conditional Overload on your melee to really stack that stick out of the moon. More procs, more damage, more fun. So yeah, that's priming in Warframe. Simple, powerful, sometimes completely unnecessary. So now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go keep yelling at new core players until they uninstall, because the Cycron is just better! Thank you.